Well, a very warm welcome to this afternoon's webinar. Looking forward to hearing from lots of interesting challenge owners from across London. We're just going to wait for you attendees to arrive. Hope you've got a cup of coffee and a notepad and pen to take down notes, some interesting things you're going to hear. It's great to be able to stream into you and to share some of the opportunities that we've got that the Mayor's Resilience Fund is creating. So I'll just give a couple more minutes for everyone that's registered to arrive, and we'll get started. Welcome to those of you who've arrived since I started talking. It's good to have you. We'll get underway in just a few moments, just waiting for a few more attendees to dial in. Excellent. Well, very well welcome this afternoon to this webinar from the Connected Places Catapult in partnership with the Greater London Authority and their partners at Nesta, who are running this Mayor's Challenge. We've got a great lineup of speakers. We've got a lot of fantastic innovative SMEs out there in the audience listening, so please do get cracking with your questions as you hear the presentations, as you want to find out more. We're really excited about the opportunity that this fund poses for innovative companies in London and across the UK. So we're very pleased to be helping run it. So by way of formal introduction, if I can have the next slide, please. My name is Sam Markey. I'm the Director of Strategic Analysis at Connected Places Catapult. The Catapult, for those of you who haven't come into contact with us before, is the UK government-backed accelerator for innovation in the built environment, mobility and placemaking. So we work hard to connect across markets, to spark new partnerships and conversations and accelerate the application of innovation in the way that we live and move, in ways that drive down carbon and drive up prosperity. And hopefully many of you will have come across this before. If you haven't, there's information at the end of this session on how to get in touch. And Alistair from our SME team is going to be talking a bit more about the sort of support programs we offer to innovative companies operating in this market. Of course, the global market for urban innovation is enormous. Several years ago, analysis of the Sustainable Development Goals identified a multi-trillion-pound global market for implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in cities in relation to smarter use of land, smart and clean transport, governance and decision-making technologies. And of course, the advent of COVID and the impact that's had on our towns and cities has generated all manner of new similar and different challenges and opportunities for innovators to step in and help create great places to live, work and play, the high streets of the future, the logistics and supply chains of the future. And so we're really excited to be partnering with the GLA and Nesta in sharing this funding that's and these challenges have been made available. So a bit about the session that's coming up. On to the next slide, please. So here's the kind of agenda for the day. We're going to hear a bit about the Mayor's Resilience Fund, what on earth it is and how it's been set up, how you can get involved. We're going to hear from 3 of the challenge owners that we thought were particularly relevant to our ecosystem of SME innovators. And then there's going to be plenty of time for Q&A. We're going to rattle through those presentations quick fire style. So as you hear them, please write down your questions in the Q&A function and we will gather those up and I will fire them at the contributors at the end of the session. So who are you going to hear from today? Next slide, please. So we've got a variety of organisations represented from across London boroughs, those who own the challenges, those who will be presenting from the GLA and from Nesta, and we'll be gathering these people together at the end to answer your questions. So that's the voice, that's the faces you'll see, and I think most people have put their names and their companies when you appear on the screen, as I have, so you'll be able to work out who is who as we go through the session. So I think that is all that I have to say by way of setup. Hopefully everyone who was going to arrive by now has arrived and I've sort of vamped enough, in which case I'll just say welcome one more time. Very excited to have you all here, really pleased to be partnering with these organisations to create opportunities for urban innovation, demonstration, testing and scaling in London and beyond. And I'm going to hand over to Maria from the GLA, who is going to explain a bit more about the Resilience Fund, how it works and how you can get involved.
Thanks, Sam. My name is Maria Gefter. I work and lead across technology innovation at in the economic development team at City Hall. The Mayor's Resilience Fund is a new 1 million initiative and open innovation program that we've launched a couple of weeks back. And I'll be talking you through how the process works and the rationale of the program. If I could have the next slide, please. So in terms of the Mayor's Resilience Fund and how it was set up, we ran an engagement exercise working with local communities and businesses and stakeholders across London from September through to December last year to identify the urgent priorities and challenges London is facing. The fund itself draws on the London Resilience Strategy, which was published early last year, that identifies the core stresses and challenges London is facing. Quite broad themes covering social cohesion, infrastructure, housing, and so forth. We wanted to kind of go into the detail of that and work with communities and businesses to understand, okay, across that, what are the key issues and how can this fund help address some of those issues through partnering innovators with partners. And through that process, we identified 10 challenges and 10 partners that we published as an open call on the 23rd of February. We're very proud to present some of those partners today, including Lambeth, Better Bankside Business Improvement District, and Groundwork London. If I could have the next slide, please. So in terms of the program as a whole, it aims to, at its core, it aims to build London's resilience as a city, but also to support on the recovery challenges that London is experiencing across high streets, environments, and good work. And we're trying to address those challenges through a series of open innovation competitions across those 10 challenges, and inviting innovators to come on board and work with us to design, test, and scale creative, impactful solutions. Next slide, please. So in terms of how the process works, it's open to all innovators defined broadly as early stage or fully funded startups, engineers, social enterprises, teams with great ideas, and matched with the resilience partners who are the challenge owners of some of the 10 challenges to co-design and co-create new products and services, adapt existing products and services in response to the challenges identified. In terms of the value and benefit of applying for innovators, it offers a route to market and the opportunity to connect with potential customers, investors, and partners, refine your product offering, as well as secure up to 50,000 in funding to test and prototype and pilot solutions directly with access to data, pilot sites, land sites, and so forth. As well as offering kind of a broader program of business support, the opportunity to attend training on pitching, user design, understanding how public procurement works, and various different other elements, as well as networking opportunities with investors and other potential clients and partners. Next slide, please. And if I can pass over to Kathy from Nesta.
Great, thanks Maria. Hi everybody, thank you for joining us today. My name is Kathy. I lead on our work on future cities at Nesta Challenges, which is a part of Nesta, the Global Innovation Foundation. We're based in London, but we work globally, and we specialize in the challenge prize methodology, open innovation competitions to stimulate solutions to pressing problems. And so we're really pleased to be working with Maria and with the team at the Mayor's office to partner in running the Resilience Fund. So I'll walk you through a few more bits and pieces of the fund and what we're looking for and how to apply. So some key dates up here for you on the timeline. As you can see, I'll just walk you through it. The open call for innovators is open now, launched at the end of February, and the deadline to apply is the 1st of April. In April, we'll be going through assessments, and our judges will be reviewing the applications that come in. And in early May, we'll select up to 40 innovators. The goal is 4 innovators per challenge will be selected and awarded £10,000 each. And then you have, it's basically about 5 weeks from mid-May to early June for delivery phase 1. And that's when the innovators will be working with the resilience partners that are sponsoring the particular challenge that they're involved with to refine and test your solution, to work with stakeholders to get to access data. Each of the resilience partners has some kind of specialized kind of access that you'll be able to get and to work with them to develop out your solution. We'll also be providing capacity building, training, expert support during that time to support the innovators in taking their solution to the next stage. In June, there'll be a second round of assessment, and the judges will basically look at your progress and decide among those 40 innovators which 10 will be selected as the winners. So that will be one winner per challenge. Will be named the winner of that challenge and awarded another £40,000. And then we'll have the summer through the end of September to use that funding to develop out their solution in partnership with the resilience partner. Next slide, please. So as far as who can apply, this is all online, so you can have a look at the website there if you want to see the details, but I'll just run through it. As far as the eligibility, needs to be London-based teams, need to be registered in the UK. We are open to sole traders applying, but as you can see, there's some bits and pieces, VAT registration or something like that, that you need to indicate with your application. We welcome applications that are partnerships, so it can be a single organization applying on your own, or if you've got a partnership, that's fine too. You just need to list the lead organization, and it's that lead organization that does need to be London-based. You can submit an application for more than one challenge. It's a single application system. It's the same application for all of the challenges. You just indicate when you apply which challenge it is that you're submitting for. And if your organization works across a couple different topic areas and you've got ideas that would be suitable for more than one challenge, we welcome that, but you just need to submit a separate application for each challenge that you're applying for. Given that the funding is from the mayor's office, can't fund things that are party political in nature or religious activity, can't fund organizations that are going through bankruptcy or any other kind of financial difficulties. And then that last point is that we do encourage entrants to explore making your end product or your solution open source, open standard, interoperable, or open license. So have a consideration of that, have a look at that, and indicate, where possible in your application how you'd be able to support that. Next slide, please. And then this is the assessment criteria. This is what the independent panel of assessors will be looking at when they're reviewing and scoring applications in April, and what the judges will be looking at when they're choosing which applicants will be selected. So these criteria map to the application questions that you'll see on the application form. But first, suitability. This is a pass-fail question. The judges will be looking at whether your proposed solution is in scope and if it's aligned with the challenge objectives as they're laid out on our website, and as you'll hear some of the challenge resilience partners describe in a minute here about their particular challenges. Impact. We'll be looking at two things. First, will the solution make a difference to the target beneficiaries? And then secondly, is the solution scalable, transferable, adaptable? Given that this is an open innovation competition, and given that the focus is to improve London's resilience and overall outlook moving forward, we're keen to see solutions that can come forward that are tailored to the resilience partner and to the challenge that's laid out, but looking forward to the big picture of how your solution could be scaled up, how it could be relevant to other boroughs, as the case may be, or other similar problem holders. We want to see kind of the long-term potential for this and what kind of impact your solution could have. The third is innovation. Does this expand beyond existing best practice? Is it different or better than what's currently out there on the market? Fourth is feasibility. You see there's it's a weighted scoring system, and there's quite a bit of emphasis placed on feasibility. The judge will be looking at project plan, and if you've got the capabilities to execute it. We'll be looking at whether your solution is technically feasible, and can it be realistically achieved with the budget and timescales available. Has it been designed with a clear understanding of the end user's needs? And then finally, capability. The judges will be looking at the team behind the solution, if you've got kind of a track record, experience that speaks to your ability to provide this, and if you've considered and identified ways to mitigate risk. All of this is available on our website too for you to have a further review. Next slide, please. Some logistical things about how to apply. As I said, it's a single written application form. It's pretty short and straightforward. It's about 10 questions and there's word limits for them. And the only thing that assessors and judges will be able to see is your responses to those application questions. So unfortunately, we can't accept any kind of supplemental support materials. It's just the application form. So it's got to be quite sort of short and snappy with how you address and describe what your solution is that you're proposing. The applications are being taken online through the GLA's OPS system. You can see the website for that there. And want to flag for you that you do need to do a simple registration first before you can submit your application. It's not onerous at all. It's a really quick and simple process, but want to flag that it's best to go ahead and do that registration process right away. It's a simple process. As you can see, there's guidance for how to do that. You just go in and you basically just create a login. But recommend you do that now so you're in the system, and then you can be prepared to put in your application, which I said is due midday on the 1st of April. And you can start your application, save it, and come back to it. You can also see a PDF of the application online on our website now, so you can have a look at that application, start to figure out, start drafting up your answers and putting everything together. So I'd encourage you to take a look at all of that, please. Next slide, please. And so about the challenges, as we said, there's 10 separate challenges. The details of each of them are available on our website. You can see listed on the left-hand side of the screen here, the 7 challenges. As we said, we're talking about 3 particularly today that have particular relevance with Connected Places Catapult. The other 7, have a look at those as well if any of that might be relevant to you and the type of work that your organization does. There's details available on our website describing all of them. And there's also webinars that have been recorded with those resilience partners talking about those 7 challenges as well if you want to see that information. But the 3 that we're talking about here today are the Smart Mobility Challenge, the Air Quality Challenge, and the Local Food Challenge. Next slide, please. I think at that point, so we're going to hold questions to the end, but please do, if you want to put questions in the Q&A function, go for it right now, and Maria and I can answer questions about the overall, everything we just described basically as we get to the end. But at this point, we're going to switch to talking about those 3 specific challenges. I believe the first one is the Smart Mobility Challenge with Amandeep from the Better Bankside bid. So I will just turn it right over to Amandeep.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today and for being interested in these challenges. Yep. Thanks, Kathy. As she said, I'm from Better Bankside. I'm the Sustainable Travel Manager there. I have a transport planning background. And on this challenge, we're partnering with King's College London. They're one of our members. We have about 900 members in Better Bankside. And King's College is one of the larger ones. They, as I'm sure you're all aware, they have campuses, they have research buildings and accommodation across London. So what the challenge is here is they operate a fleet of vehicles to take goods around the city to their premises to continue their operations. And what we're looking to do is develop a tool for them so they can operate their fleet as efficiently as possible. So they currently have about 8 vehicles, and they do go to various places, deliver various things. It's demand led. So if somebody in one of the buildings says they need something, they'll get that. And they are now interrogating that process to think about how it can work more efficiently. So we are looking for an innovator to develop a tool which will enable them to identify efficiencies. So this tool would collect data and think about how what type of vehicle it is, how full it is, where it's going, and at what time, developing, creating a full picture of the fleet and what it would do on a typical day, week, or month, and then think about where efficiencies could be made. So there generally are 3 ways of making fleets more efficient. You can, remode them, i.e. you can put goods on a different type of vehicle, a cleaner vehicle, a cheaper vehicle, or even walk something over to another campus. You can retime them. So from an air quality point of view and a time-saving point of view, can you avoid the peak hour? Can you avoid traffic? Is there an efficiency there in terms of the human cost of someone taking the time to deliver something? And then there's the kind of reducing, consolidating deliveries to reduce the number of trips made to various places. So those are some of the ways, some of the outputs that the tool could output. Like King's College is our primary partner in this, but there are other organisations that we'd like this tool to work for too. There's loads of organisations in London and across the world that manage a fleet to manage their goods. So it's got to be transferable, pretty easy to use, because some of this collection of data will be done by drivers or fleet managers. Some businesses lease vehicles, so the tool or the kind of data collection device has to be able to be swapped between vehicles, and then the thing's got to generate insights. So, for example, if 5 boxes of A4 paper are going from Guy's campuses to Lavington Street, which isn't very far, but they're going in a vehicle, it's under a kilometre, the tool should be able to pick that up and say, hey, would it be cheaper to contract a cargo bike courier to take that instead of doing it by van? So yeah, the 2 big outputs really are from our air quality savings in London and sustainability, kind of save carbon emissions not being emitted, and there's a real cost and a real kind of tangible cost benefit that could be had. So reducing the fleet size will be a really long-term goal for any organisation, for obvious reasons. That's pretty much the challenge in a nutshell. If you have any questions, do hold them for the moment, and we'll get to them at the end. Sorry, just one other thing to mention. We'll be with you throughout this process. We can help you develop the solution. So you'll meet the kind of facilities team. You can ask them questions. Nicola and I will assist your applicator, will assist you in how to develop the tool. And you'll also be able to use King's College's fleet to actually test the solution. So that's everything. Thank you for listening. And I'll now pass on to the next presenter, who I believe is Sabrina from Lambeth Council.
Yes, thanks. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Sabrina Chiaretti from Lambeth. I'm a project officer working in the air quality division, and I'm here to present our air quality challenge today. So for those of you who don't know Lambeth, we are an inner London borough stretching from the London Eye in Waterloo to Oval and Clapham and Brixton area, all the way down to Streatham and West Norwood. Being an inner London borough, we face multiple sources of air pollution, including traffic, construction activities, and wood burning, which cause, among others, high levels of PM2.5. These are ultrafine particles, very tiny particles that enter people's respiratory system and bloodstream and cause a number of health diseases, from cardiovascular to respiratory diseases and conditions. There is evidence that say that if we reduce PM2.5 levels, we directly impact on mortality and morbidity. So, for instance, reducing PM2.5 levels by, say, 10% in a particular area might reduce mortality by, say, 2%. So on this basis, our challenge aims to create a digital tool that models and visualize in a map form the impact of certain interventions on PM 2.5 levels and on local mortality and morbidity. So essentially, we're looking for a tool that shows us if we implement a certain intervention in a certain area of Lambeth, what is the impact of that intervention on PM 2.5 and therefore on our residents' health. Interventions can range from traffic measures, active travel measures such as cycle lanes, infrastructural measures such as green screens or green barriers, and also wood burning control measures. We will be looking to assess the impact of future interventions in Lambeth, so not of past interventions, but for validation purposes, we will have access to past data if needed. So looking at the slide on the left-hand side, in terms of the impact that we are seeking, we will want to be able to quantify, as I said, the potentially air quality and health impact of specific interventions to become strategic around how we deliver these interventions. And we will very much see this tool as something that might be scaled up and be of help to other London boroughs. In terms of what we will be able to provide as resilience partner, we will provide you with access to relevant data around, for example, public health or transport or air quality, and we will facilitate meetings with relevant council teams such as public health and transport. And we will have all the necessary knowledge and details of the local interventions that we will want to deliver to improve local air quality and health. And in terms of what good looks like, without, I guess, repeating myself and going too much into the details of these, we will want a map, a visual tool that enables us to map the air quality and health impacts of a number of interventions, particularly the impact on PM 2.5 levels, and reduce the time that we spend on identifying sites where we will deliver these interventions and quantify their health and air quality impact. I think that's all from me, and I can hand over on to the next presenter.
Thanks, Sabrina. That's me. That's Katrina. Brilliant. Brilliant. So perfect. So that's our challenge on screen. So just to introduce myself, I'm Katrina Baker. I'm Director of Communities and Environmental Services at Groundwork London. For those of you that are new to Groundwork London, we're an environmental and social regeneration charity. We work with communities to improve places and spaces across the borough. Across the capital. I'm going to be tag teaming with my colleague Fiona Brenner today, who leads on our strategic development, to give you an overview of the project, which is the Local Food Challenge. To set the scene, in Barnet, Groundwork are part of a partnership called Barnet Together. It's a collaboration between charities Groundwork, Young Barnet Foundation and Inclusion Barnet. At the start of the first wave of the coronavirus pandemic, Barnet Together Partnership saw that there was a need for a partnership approach to for the local community response. And we worked with the local authority and community and faith partners to support the borough. As was evident across the country, one of the key challenges during COVID-19 has been access to food. And at a local response level, we've supported the local authority to set up a local food distribution hub to support the shielded and to support food banks. Barnet Together supported the food banks network, and when shielded stopped, we've actually taken over the management of the Barnet Food Hub and the network, so distributing to the community. We currently support a network of 17 food banks, providing top-up food supplies, including over 28 tonnes of surplus food allocated to food banks across the borough since November last year. We're definitely the icing on the cake and not the cake. And as such, our vision is to create a partnership to focus on developing a local food system which helps tackle food insecurity. And to do this, we need a digital platform, and this is where we need your help. We would like you to help us to manage the food supply and the demand for food banks, community projects, and even holiday hunger, to understand the data and predict the need, and to help us promote donations directly to food banks, helping them to engage with the community and support those charitable donations. The most important thing for us is to redirect excess food within the borough and create that local food system. So I'm going to hand over to Fiona, who's going to talk a little bit more about our approach.
Hi, so there are a number of platforms out there where people can donate food for others to collect on a one-to-one basis, and we're looking to elevate that to a local food system approach, which allows all of the local food actors to engage. As an environmental charity, we have also been supporting organisations thinking about food waste, and we know that there is surplus from shops, from when they're reopening again, venues, from events, from restaurants. So we want to be able to make use of that surplus food and connect it into the food need initially in Barnet. That's something that we're working on in an organic and ad hoc way. So we're building those relationships and making those connections. But we think there's a massive opportunity to take that information and put it onto a platform, so that we have on the one hand the food need and the people who are working in the sphere of food need, the community food projects, the food banks. And on the other side, there are people who might have excess food or want to make donations even if they don't have excess. So somebody who wants to make a financial donation to their local food bank. So we want a platform that connects those, all of those different actors, so that if you have something that you want to donate on a one-off or regular basis, you can put that offer out. If you're a food bank that knows that you are going to have a peak of demand coming up because of school holidays or because of a faith holiday or some other reason, then you can put out calls for particular types of support, financial, particular types of food. And we want to be able to do that so that there is a network which doesn't require an organisation like us to always be there, that actually there is a local food system that is based on a platform which allows that peer-to-peer connection, whilst at the same time collecting data along the way, so that there is a better understanding of demand to tap into the way that we want to find an end to food insecurity, because there is enough food in the country. We should be just sharing it better. So it's about finding that platform for peer connections to make use of all of the variety of actors that can play a part in a local food system. And the idea is that we build it for Barnet in this instance, but that it could be replicated in other local areas, who will have a different set of actors. In any local area will have a different set of actors, but will that way of connecting would hopefully be could be shared and replicated across different local areas. Thank you. We'll take questions a bit later.
Fantastic. Well, thank you to all those contributors for very exciting presentations. Thank you for keeping them short and sweet. 3 really exciting challenges. And so to recap, as I've heard and as I understand it, there's on the table is £10,000 for development, followed by a £40,000 award to deliver with an established customer, and if you design the right product or service, a pipeline of other boroughs who'll be eager to talk to you about scaling. Really important, therefore, as we've heard, to think about replicability, about standardization, and about sustainability of those concepts. Really, really exciting. So some of you have put questions in. We're going to get to those in just a second. I'm going to ask our panelists to come back on camera. I'm going to get into the Q&A section. I'm going to, firstly, before we jump into those, I'm going to invite Alistair Ritchie from the SME team here at Places Catapult to say a few words by way of introduction. He's going to join the panel and a few words about what we do to support SMEs and what we're throwing into the mix as part of supporting you as bidders and hopefully successful applicants to this challenge.
Thank you, Sam. And yes, my name is Alistair Ritchie. I am the SME Development Team Lead here at the Catapult. I think I just want to say a few words about why SMEs are important to the UK, but also why they are important to the Catapult. So just to give you a few facts to start off with, SMEs account for 99% of all firms in the UK. They account for 33% of GDP and 45% of employment. So clearly, SMEs contribute a significant amount to the success of the UK economy. But within the Catapult, we actually have a mission, which is to disrupt the market and to tackle those technologies, projects, and ideas which other organisations, for whatever reason, they're not able to or not willing to, are not prepared to tackle. And we regard SMEs as a key source for that innovation pathway and a key piece in that innovation pathway, which allows us to do that job. So here at the Catapult, we have a network of some 2,700 SMEs, growing by around about 300 per year. We hope to top 3,000 at some point this year. And initially what we do is we connect with that platform in order to share ideas and to share possibilities with them, which is what this webinar is about. We seek to spark new ideas through a range of events and masterclasses. And later on in this process, we hope to partner with Greater London Authority to actually deliver some of those masterclasses as part of this process and to help develop some of the companies that are involved in it. And finally, we accelerate and deliver some really high quality projects on behalf of our partners, such as the Department for Transport, where we operate a number of transport innovation grants, and indeed internationally, where most recently we're just completing a project now to help to partner UK SMEs with SMEs in Kenya and South Africa in order to tackle urban innovation challenges across Africa. So we do an awful lot of work with SMEs, and indeed they are the groundwell, the platform from which we actually drive a lot of the projects within our organisation. And so just to wrap up, I'd just like to encourage you to sign up to our network, and the opportunity that we should be able to put forward to you through that network. The website is at the bottom of the slide in front of you, and I really look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Very good, thanks, Alistair. So during that time, lots of you have been coming in with questions, which is brilliant. There's some very specific technical questions which we'll get to, but I want to start with one. If the panelists want to all come back on screen, if you want to turn your cameras back on, panelists. So the first question is about eligibility. Who is this open to? It's probably one for Maria to pick up. So is this open to international companies? Do you have to have a local base in London or in the UK to apply? I think is basically the question. Who can bid into this?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Yes, you do have to have a London base in order to apply and be selected for the challenge. Specifically, both you have to have a registered company in the UK, registered entity, and be based in London mostly, and especially so for the duration of the activities as part of the project delivery. Very good. Thank you very much. That's useful, nice and clear. So there's a question from Mark about the air quality challenge and whether the ambition is to measure new data or to visualize existing data more effectively. Is there a preference? Is there a steer as to which of those or either of those that you're looking for?
So I guess the question is for myself on the air quality challenge. It would be mixed, I guess. So we will be looking to both measure new data, particularly around air quality, potentially with the use of air quality monitors, and also visualize existing data that we could obtain externally, for example, through the London Atmospheric Emission Inventory. So it would be a mix.
Very good, thank you. Well, the air quality challenge appears to be one that's stimulating lots of questions. So forgive me, I'm going to stay with you for a minute there, Sabrina. So you mentioned health effects related to air quality. And there's a question here from an anonymous questioner. If you could expand a bit more on the kind of health effects that you're particularly interested in. So are there particular health effects that you're looking to impact or mitigate through the air quality project?
I think all health effects that are connected to air pollution we will be interested in. So we are not in the air quality team public health experts, but we have our public health team who might be able to support in identifying what effects we will want to we will want to model in particularly, from my perspective, is really any effect that air pollution has on the health of our residents, from respiratory conditions to cardiovascular diseases. So anything really, we don't have a preference for those as far as they are connected to PM 2.5 levels.
Very good. And as you say, fascinating, isn't it? The full range of physical and mental, cognitive impacts of particulates. We published a piece of analysis 2 years ago now, I think, called Neuroscience for Cities, which looks at a whole range of impacts on our particularly neuroscience and cognitive abilities from the built environment, but the impact of air quality on childhood development and on performance, as you say, is surprisingly well established. But yeah, we're still grappling to make headway in this space, aren't we? So it's great to see this prioritized.
And it impacts on everyone's health, really, although those that are mostly affected are those that we call sensitive receptors, so young children, young adults, and those with existing health conditions, and the elderly. So we will be focusing on those as part of the challenge.
Very good. So there's another question, which I suppose is probably open to all of you, though. Maria may be the best place to comment in the first instance about what happens after phase 2. So it's great that there's obviously a development phase and then a kind of implementation phase. So the question here is, what happens after September? Is there scope for an ongoing relationship with the GLA and the innovator? What happens? What do you imagine happening at the end of this challenge series? What's happened in the past, perhaps?
Yeah, I'll take that question just initially. So primarily in terms of funding, the relationship is between the innovator and the GLA, but in terms of delivery, the partnership is between the innovator and the resilience partner. Now, in terms of products and services developed through that piloting period, it is up to the resilience partner and the innovator, should they want to continue that relationship and enter into contract or otherwise. So it is within the scope, but it's to be kind of discussed and agreed on a case-by-case basis.
That's really helpful. Alistair, I wonder if you might want to come in there on some of the support that we are proposing to offer as part of our involvement to help innovative firms achieve commercial sustainability on things they're proving and demonstrating.
Yes, so we're working on a proposition with Greater London Authority just now about how we might offer a couple of masterclasses during the development phase of this in order to help companies that are part of the process to upskill and to get them ready, both technically or from a business point of view. We'll need to work out the details of that. But I would say that, after this event, after this process, the Catapult is still there and is still looking for innovative SMEs to work with. And we will have many programs over the course of this year, which will focus on things like net zero and data and modeling and logistics, which cover most of the challenges that are here. And we're delighted to have you in our network. And we if you are able to demonstrate some level of success in this sort of pilot project, then perhaps, there are opportunities outside of London, across the rest of the UK and beyond, which the Catapult could work with you on. So, please do keep in touch. My team are always delighted to talk to innovative SMEs. So I think that's very much as I can say on that front.
Very good, thank you. So people are getting really creative in the comments, and I'm going to put a question which may be slightly unfair to Maria, so feel free to sidestep it. But there's obviously people who are outside of London that are very interested in this topic, and I suppose the question that's being asked is there scope for people to could people partner with London-based companies, innovators, and I suppose is there scope for joint bids for companies who are not just in London? I recognise what you said before, very clear requirement for there to be a London presence. Are you open to partnership bids, I suppose, is the question?
I mean, broadly, yes. Ultimately, the recipient of funding needs to be based in London. And so if that's the lead partner and they are the recipient of funding and they're based in London, but they are also working with other partners that are not based in London, then that isn't a huge issue. But I would also just say that it would be considered on a case-by-case basis.
Very good, thank you, excellent. Well, I certainly, in normal times, this is the point at which I would tell anyone who's expressing that they're not in London but would like to get involved, that we have co-working space available in our London offices to innovators. Sadly, of course, like many of you, we're all working at home and our offices are currently locked and shuttered, but in the future, perhaps that's an offer we can remake to those of you who are keen to get involved in future London opportunities but aren't currently here day to day. So there's a couple of questions again, Sabrina, coming back to you on resolution of the kind of data. There's also people who are very interested in this topic. So again, is there any further detail on the kind of the level of detail, the level of resolution that you're hoping to achieve, or you're looking for people to provide as part of this solution?
I think, am I looking at the right question? The one that asked if we could advise on the resolution of modeling and if it would be sufficient to go down to ward level.
I think there's two, but yeah, that was what I was looking at. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I think in terms of resolution, we would be looking for a good spatial resolution and as precise as possible. I think ward level would be too high level for the type of modeling that we're looking for. So in similar digital tools and modeling that we have been using in the past, I guess the resolution was down to 30 meters. So if we could aim for a similar resolution, either 50 or 100 meters would be really good. But I think ward level would definitely be too high level for us.
Thank you. Yes, as you say, these things need to be actionable, don't they? And so interesting that's that challenge, getting close enough to the ground to be able to make informed decisions about interventions.
Yeah.
That's really useful. Good. Well, I mean, I think we've sort of exhausted the questions that people have shared. So we'll sort of leave the chat open just a few moments longer. But if anyone has any questions they're burning to ask, now's your opportunity. Otherwise, we'll draw things to a close early and give you 15 minutes back in your day to go and grab some lunch and maybe some fresh air, depending on what the weather's like where you are. Whilst we leave that moment open, I'll just once again say thank you to all the challenge owners and the contributors to this webinar. It's been great to hear about the exciting, innovative demand across London. As Catapult, we fully recognise that helping the customers of innovation be informed, confident customers and in approaching the market and setting out challenges which the market can respond to is really, really important and really valuable part of the innovation system. So thank you for each laying out your needs and working with the mayor and with Nesta to do this. We really welcome it. We look forward to seeing what comes in. So I think that looks like, yeah, we've not had any further input. We've had a couple of votes of thanks. So rather than dragging things on, I will say thank you once again. As Alistair said, if you're not already connected into the Catapult's SME program and our news and updates, then please do respond to the mail shot that will come back after this. We've got various other events coming in the next few days, which I think Leanne will just flick through. There we are. So if you're looking for further insights on the connected places market, if you're looking for opportunities to find funding, to demonstrate your products and services, to connect with academics and researchers at the pioneering end of things, then please do check these